Good morning. I'm Jesse Ahmed, your host of Valley News Now, here with Chris Schulke today.
Good morning, Jesse.
From the Otter County
Historical
Society. Thank you for helping me out there.
It's
I
a long
appreciate it. It is a long one.
Yeah.
So we've got some really unique stories and an incredibly unique event coming up
Right.
a week from Saturday. So,
Yes, Friday.
Friday. Thank you.
So a week from today,
Yes, a week
we are
from
doing.
today.
Yeah, we're doing a haunted museum. So it's not a scary like walking through and people jump out
Right.
at you. These are stories from Ottertail County history,
Okay.
real, true accounts of some of the most infamous, legendary crimes and murders and weird events from Ottertail County history.
That actually happened.
Actually happened. So a
So,
lot of it is
in a way,
right
much
from the
scarier.
newspaper accounts. So we're doing, I want to make sure and tell you that we're doing 3 shows, 2,
Okay.
5, and 7 next Friday.
Okay, 2,
Our
5,
7
and
o'clock
7.
show is already sold out.
Oh, wow.
So we have a few tickets, I think, left for 5, but we do have next Friday afternoon at 2. We still have the matinee.
Okay.
Some tickets, quite a few, not quite a few, but some tickets
Some
available.
still. Okay.
Yeah.
That
So
sounds
you
like
need-
the
go
one
to
I
our
could
website.
go to.
Yep.
And I'll bring you over to the website. We're going to show some pictures, and then I'll bring you
Yes.
to the website and make sure to post that as well, so you
So
can
I'm going
get
to give you,
tickets.
and I'm going to give you a little teaser.
This is awesome.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so I'm going to start out with a story about a young man who was accused of the murder of a woman, and he wrote some very interesting poetry.
Wow.
The moon shone down on the great northern track, where the body of a woman lay on her back. Upon the white snow, cold in death, and the bullets in her body told the rest. Now, this is the poetry of a 21-year-old Adalbert Goheen.
21.
21-year-old Adalbert Goheen.
I mean, I got to say, he's just a good-looking, all-American looking kid.
Yeah, well, he wasn't exactly all American.
No.
So here's the story. So Rosa Bray's body was frozen stiff, her dress and clothing thin and ragged, her face and hands were covered with grime, dirt, and blood, and an examination discovered that she had been shot in the head and breast. Shortly after she was found along the Great Northern Tracks, people began to ask, "Where's Adalbert Goheen?" Because those two had been seen together in each other's company quite often. Now, the Goheens were not exactly a model family, Jesse. While they lived in Woodside Township, which is a township in Ottertail County, they had a reputation for lawless acts and reckless behavior.
Oh.
In fact, when he was 15, Adalbert there was arrested and jailed for breaking into and smashing up a rural school. At his hearing, his mother advised him to kill and burn those who had sent him to jail. Kill and burn those who had sent him to jail. Instead of, "Oh, son, no, kill them, burn them."
This is an interesting family.
He also did a stint in Stillwater for grand larceny.
Oh.
Okay, so a week after Rosa Bray's body was found, Ottertail County Deputy Sheriff Chris Johnson went to the Goheen home and arrested him on the spot, despite Adalbert's pleas that he wasn't the one who did it. He was innocent. The evidence was purely circumstantial, and at the trial, Anderson, that's his brother, Adalbert blamed his brother Anderson for committing the murder.
Okay.
He followed them one night out to the Great Northern Tracks, where Anderson met Rosa Bray. After a brief argument, he shot her, and he said just kind of discarded her, threw her into the snowbank. Okay? Now, at the trial, the evidence again was purely circumstantial. In fact, what he thought was going to be a good person to give evidence was his cellmate at Stillwater. Why would you think your cellmate at Stillwater would give good evidence?
Right, this fellow criminal.
A guy named William Bowmaster testified that while visiting Adalbert the day before at the jail, Adalbert told him that he was out with a girl and got caught at it. He also said he asked Adalbert if he had actually killed the girl. And when he asked him this, Adalbert said he looked around to make sure no one was watching, and then he just simply winked. Now at this, the normally calm Goheen jumped up from his seat at the trial, raised his fist and said, "You are a lying cur, Bowmaster." But It was too late. It was too late. He was found guilty for the murder of Rosa Bray. And then 2 days later at the sentencing, he stood before the judge, his eyes sunken with the nervous twitching of his muscles. The judge said, "Before I pronounce the sentence, is there anything you would like to say?" Lifting his head, Adalbert said in barely a whisper, "I have nothing to say that would do me any good." So at his evidence, he said it was Anderson, his brother, who committed this murder. So they actually brought Anderson back to interview him. The thing is, Anderson said that Rosa Bray was an abandoned woman, and he would not have soiled his bullets by shooting her. So since there was no other evidence, Adalbert was found guilty and sentenced to hang. This was when there were executions. So he was doomed. Just before midnight, Sheriff Billings entered the room. He took Adalbert to the scaffold. He said, "Adalbert, have you anything to say?" Adalbert said, "No, but I'll show these gentlemen how a man can die." After Billings put the black hood over his head, he said, Adalbert cried out for one final thing, "Let her go, Jack." Sheriff Billings. And that was it. He hung for 45 minutes and placed in a plain pine coffin.
Oh my God.
Now, from the Fergus Falls Daily Journal, September 11th, 1918. This is an article. Adalbert Goheen's name was cleared nearly 30 years after he was hung for murder. A few months ago, a man in Montana confessed before dying that he was the man who murdered Rosa Bray. He wanted word set to Adalbert's mother, but she had died some years ago, never knowing that her son was innocent. We don't know for sure, but
Who was the man in Montana?
we don't know.
We don't know.
We've done research and found that Anderson Goheen, we
It wasn't
assumed
him.
it was him.
That's what I thought you were
He
going to
actually
say.
was in Missouri at the time, so we don't know. This is the mystery.
Oh my gosh.
Now, so that's one story we're going to tell.
That's incredible. Yeah. So this is the guy. I can't get over it. I have sons that are about this age.
21.
Yeah. 21, 22 and a 24. Whoa.
All right, and now the next story that we're going to tell is John Trivett.
Is this?
Oh,
Okay.
This is an interesting
I'm going to see if I can do something a little. Yeah, you keep going and I'm just going to get picture
so
in picture
16-year-old
here.
John Trivett. Again,
Yes.
we don't have. Not going to tell the whole story, but 16-year-old John Trivett, he fancied himself an outlaw, like Jesse James, on the run from the law. And as it turned out, he got much more than he bargained for. In the spring of 1882, there were two surveyors out in the Red Eye Valley along the Becker-Ottertail County lines.
Okay.
And so one day they didn't come back from surveying. A search party was sent out. They were found shot to death. Two surveyors killed.
Wow.
So in town, John Trivett, the Trivett family was very poor, just so poor. But Trivett was in town buying a new suit. He was buying a new hat. He had a new watch. And when the shopkeeper asked him where he got that money, he said, I got it from a Dutchman out in the county. Well, and then he said he was going to leave to Montana to be a cowboy. He boarded the train. He left town. And that was enough to convince people that it was John Trivett who murdered these two surveyors.
Sure seems like it.
So Sheriff John Billings went all the way, followed him out to Fargo, followed him past Bismarck to the Missouri River, and he was having to cross the river on a ferry, and so John Trivett was working on the ferry as kind of a deckhand. John Billings found him, arrested him on the spot, and took him back on the train to Ottertail County.
Okay.
The thing is, word got out on the telegraph, and they never got off the train because people were clamoring for justice. He just cold-bloodedly killed these two surveyors, and so people were calling for instant justice. Shouts of "hang him" was heard at each stop. So John Trivett, one day a mob broke into he was finally brought back to the Perham jail. A group one night broke into the jail, took John Trivett out and they strung him up on a telegraph pole. And the mob broke in, and the boy struggled. His father was in the mob, and he said, "Give me my gun. Father, father," he said, "give me my gun, and I will give them hell to the finish."
Oh.
A moment later, he was begging for his life. No one was listening. He was flung up to a telegraph pole, and as he was about to swing aloft, a local saloon keeper came up to the boy, Trivets. He lit a match, held it under his nose, and said, "Smell that, you SOB. You'll soon be there."
Oh, whoa.
This is all in the newspaper accounts.
Wow, they knew how to write some stories.
It was too late. Trivets was hung. Now, the interesting thing is, the next morning, as the Northern Pacific train neared Perham, passengers witnessed a remarkable sight: the dangling body of John Trivets.
Oh, they just left him
The
there?
lifeless, yes, he was turned toward the cars as passengers rushed to the windows to view the swinging memento of Perham's frontier justice.
Whoa.
Now, the interest, so this is
So
John Billings.
No, he looks quite young as
John,
well.
16-year-old.
Oh.
John Billings, the famous sheriff of constable of Perham, he brought in, Stephen Butler. Stephen Butler, the sheriff, brought John Trivets to justice all the way back from out on the Montana-North Dakota border, yes.
Wow.
And he was strung up, the one lynching in Ottertail County.
Really?
History. Yes. Now, the final story that we want to talk about, is the most legendary. Now, did you ever hear about the pig farm murder
No,
in Ottertail County?
I did not.
So it all revolves around 15-year-old Lily Field. 15-year-old Lily Field in St. Olaf Township. In fact, I think you should read the initial account.
Oh boy. Okay.
From that. I know, it's cold here. But from the Fergus Falls Daily Journal of May 28th, 1887. If you could just read this is directly from the paper, this one paragraph.
On the 27th of May, news reached Fergus Falls that a bloody and inhuman murder had been committed in St. Olaf's Township. While the details are scattered, they are so horrific, it makes the blood run cold and causes one to wonder whether such a thing could be done by a human being. A beautiful girl has been murdered, most likely outraged, horribly mutilated, thrown into a hog pasture, and her mangled remains partially eaten by swine.
There you go.
A hired man left in charge of the farm who should have been her protector was the murderer. Oh.
So
And here she is. I got to show her
there's
again.
poor Lily Field. Now, if you go to the next one, Nels Olson Hulong, who was from Iowa, he was hired by Lily's brother the season before to be a hired man. And he did such a good job that he hired him the next season. And so one day he asked, Charles and his mother had to go into Fergus Falls for doctor's appointments and run other errands. So he left Hulong with Lily and her brother, 6-year-old Clark. He asked him to do all the chores, to feed the livestock, to plant potatoes, and so forth. So so he left him alone.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they finally got back late at night, Charles and his mother, the house was empty. There was a lantern on, and the little brother was asleep in the house. But where was Lily? She was nowhere to be seen. So it was too late. Maybe Lily had gone to the neighbors, or they didn't know.
Sure.
So they were going to wait until the next day to make sure. So Charles awoke before sunrise to begin his chores. He went to the barn and discovered that none of the livestock had been fed or watered. He then went to the field where he had instructed hired man Nels Olson Hulong to plant potatoes. Again, nothing had been done. Perplexed, he started back to the house through a pasture where some 30 pigs were penned. As he walked, he noticed an odd sight on the ground ahead of him. He couldn't quite make out what it was in the dim early morning light, but as he got closer, a chill ran through his body. There lay his sister, Lily, not only dead, but mutilated and partially eaten by the swine. She was naked. Her throat was slit. All the main veins and arteries were severed, and she was cut the entire length of the body so that it gaped open 4 or 5 inches. The hogs had gnawed a great deal of flesh from her limbs, and the main organs were strewn about the ground, and the body rolled in the mud until it was begrimed and nearly beyond recognition. Such was the sight that met Charles Field that morning.
I can't even imagine.
Now, this case...
Do you need him? Yeah?
Okay.
We're getting called by North Dakota Today because he's now on North Dakota Today next. So I'm going to have to let you go, but I'm dying to find out the rest.
All right.
So I will, after you leave, I will show everybody the website and where to go. And if that's not a good teaser, I don't know what is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. That was chilling, and I'm kind of dying to find out the rest, but we got to let him go on North Dakota Today. So I'm going to bring you over to this picture again and show you some of the website as well. So here we go. This is Otter Tail County Historical Society, and Chris Schulke, who's just been telling true tales that have been giving me absolute chills. And I'm glad it's the morning, so I have all day to sort of try and forget that. So there's a 2 p.m. show, a 5 p.m. show, and a 7 p.m. show. He said tickets are sold out for the 7, almost sold out for the 5, a few left for the 2 p.m. matinee. And as you can tell, he is a phenomenal storyteller. And these are true stories of Otter Tail County murders and hangings. Oh my gosh. So here is that. There's also a kind of interesting thing. They do a lot of interesting things, I'm finding out, but there's also a very interesting event that's going on this Saturday at the Fergus Falls State Hospital Cemetery and the Poor Farm Cemetery. And so this is very interesting. Like I said, this is open to the public. They're sponsoring a tour of the Fergus Falls State Hospital Cemetery and the Poor Farm Cemetery tomorrow, October 21st at 11 a.m. The cost of the tour is $10. There's no registration required. You can just go there, park in the back of the Fergus Falls Veterans Home, and look for Chris with his blue OTCHS banner, Otter Tail County Historical Society. Yeah, you can't drive cars there, obviously, and it's a little bit limited accessibility. But the state hospital, obviously very interesting, serene, sad, tragic, all at the same time. The first burial occurred in 1890 to the last in 1968. 3,200 people were laid to rest there, and most of the graves are unmarked, yet of course everyone had a name, lives and stories and family, and the tour will attempt to uncover bits and pieces of this history to give names to those at rest. So lots going on at the Otter Tail County Historical Society, and they are having, again, their haunted museum coming up a week from today, and tickets are still available. And check him out on North Dakota Today. He's on right now. I almost made him too late. His name is Chris Schulke, and thank you so much. My name is Jessie Ahmet. I'm the host of Valley News Now.